in the dark heart of World War II, when the Atlantic Ocean had become a graveyard of steel. One submarine disappeared without a trace, and yet, decades later, its final message was heard again. This is the story of the Soviet submarine S-134, known among sailors as the Silent Hunter, and of the men who vanished beneath the waves, but never truly left. It was the freezing winter of 1944. The Baltic Sea was a place of death, mines, patrols, and storms that swallowed ships whole. The crew of S-134 had been ordered on a suicide mission to intercept German supply ships carrying vital ammunition to the Eastern Front. Their captain, Viktor Sokolov, just 29, was already a legend in the fleet. Calm, fearless, and deeply loyal. He believed that the ocean remembered everything. Every battle, every scream, every secret. They left port under a moonless sky. As the submarine slipped beneath the surface, the sound of the world above vanished. Inside, there was only the hum of engines and the slow, rhythmic breathing of men who knew they might never return. The air was thick with oil and sweat, the metal cold to the touch. In the control room, dim red lights glowed on faces carved by exhaustion. The youngest crewman, Mikhail, carried a small photo of his wife tucked into his pocket. He kissed it every morning before starting his shift. For 2 days, the mission went smoothly. They tracked 2 German cargo ships moving under escort. Victor ordered the crew to prepare torpedoes. Through the periscope, he saw the faint silhouettes gliding across the waves. "Steady," he whispered. The torpedoes launched, silent, deadly, and moments later, 2 massive explosions split the night. Flames rose on the horizon. The crew cheered, but celebration turned to horror as the sonar operator's face went pale. "Multiple pings?" he shouted. "Destroyers incoming!" Within minutes, the ocean around them roared with explosions. Depth charges ripped the water apart. The submarine shook violently, lights flickered, gauges shattered. The pressure was rising fast. "Hold her steady," Victor shouted. But then came a massive blast. One of the destroyers had dropped. A charge directly above them. The submarine plunged deeper past the safe limit. The hull groaned like a dying beast. Water burst through a crack in the engine room. Men screamed. The smell of burning metal filled the air. Victor rushed to the radio room. "Send a signal," he ordered. Mikhail, his hands trembling, tapped out the message. "We are hit. Taking water. Attempting to surface." Static answered. And then silence. The S-134 was never heard from again. Search teams scoured the Baltic for days. Nothing was found, and no wreckage, no signal, no trace. The Navy declared the crew lost. Families were told the usual line. They died heroes. But Anna, Victor's fiancée, refused to believe it. Every evening she went to the harbor and stood in the cold wind, staring at the horizon. "The sea took him," she said softly. "But it will give him back when it's ready." The years turned to decades. The war ended. The world moved on. But in 1976, 32 years later, something happened that no one could explain. A Soviet fishing trawler operating near the same coordinates began, picking up a strange signal. It was faint, rhythmic, Morse code. The crew thought it was interference until their technician translated it. It said, "Depth 120, holding position. Awaiting orders." The signal repeated every 30 seconds. The frequency matched an old, wartime naval band, one that hadn't been used since 1945, and the call sign belonged to S-134. At first, the Navy dismissed it, but the trawler's captain insisted he'd recorded the signal himself. Soon an investigation began. A team of sonar experts and divers was sent to the area. After 2 weeks of searching, they found it, a shape resting on the seabed, perfectly preserved, 120 meters deep. The sonar image showed the outline of a submarine. Divers descended through freezing black water. As they reached the wreck, they saw something chilling. The submarine's lights were faintly glowing through the silt, like eyes watching from the dark. Inside, the air had long turned to poison, yet everything seemed untouched by time. Tables still set, logbooks open, tools floating mid-water. And in the radio room, the source of the mystery, the Morse key was still in position, as if someone had just sent a message. When they brought the radio to the surface, engineers found that its internal components had corroded decades ago. It couldn't have transmitted anything, yet the signal had been recorded on modern equipment. And one more thing, the tape caught a faint voice just before the message ended, whispering in Russian, "Hold position. Do not surface." When news reached Anna, now an old woman, she traveled to the naval base to see the recovered artifacts. Among them was Victor's captain's logbook, sealed in a rusted box. On the final page, written in pencil barely visible, were the words, "The sea is closing. We will not surface again. Tell Anna we kept the light." She wept silently. When she was given the recording of the signal, she played it over and over, her fingers trembling. As the faint beeps echoed through the room, she whispered, "He kept his promise." That night, she fell asleep listening to it and never woke up again. But the story didn't end there. In 1982, a team of researchers revisited the wreck to conduct deep-sea scans. They reported strange interference in their instruments whenever they approached the submarine. Compass needles spun wildly, cameras malfunctioned, and one diver claimed that as he touched the hull, he heard, faintly through his headset, the sound of breathing. The mission was called off, and the site was marked as restricted. To this day, sailors passing through the Baltic report hearing ghostly radio beeps on old frequencies. It always says the same words: depth 120, holding position, awaiting orders. Scientists say it's a magnetic echo, a phenomenon where old signals bounce through the ocean's ionosphere. But those who've been near the site tell another story, that the crew of S-134 never left, still manning their stations, still loyal to their captain, still waiting for the command to rise again. When storms roll across the Baltic, lightning sometimes flashes on the horizon, and fishermen swear they see a dark shape beneath the waves, a submarine moving silently through the depths. Some say it's an illusion. Others say it's the ghost of S-134, still patrolling the waters, keeping its promise to protect home waters until the end of time. Perhaps the ocean truly remembers. Perhaps time bends where courage and duty meet. And maybe, just maybe, when you stand by the shore and hear the distant thunder rolling like engines across the sky, it's not just weather. It's the men of S-134, coming home at last.